Good evening. Welcome to the March 16th meeting of the Board of Selectmen here in Waterboro. Everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, I want to welcome everybody. Apologize for a little bit of a late start here. I guess you can blame me for that, as opposed to one of the other members of the board. Announcements, just so everybody knows, nomination papers are available starting Tuesday the 16th, which is today, for the positions of two positions of Selectman, one Water District Board of Trustees, Road Commissioner, and R.S.U. 57 Director, for one position. Those papers are available starting today, nomination papers, and must be turned in by April 27th if you wish to be a candidate for one of these positions up here, or school board, or the Board of Trustees, or you want to be the new road commissioner in town. So you can stop on your way out tonight, and I'm sure the town clerk will be more than happy to fill one out for you. So we've got a room full of residents. We ought to have everybody out getting nomination papers tomorrow, right? So we have there's not a lot of opportunity, I think, in any municipality sometimes to recognize those folks that just take it for granted that they do good every day and do great things for the community, and a lot of times things go unrecognized. And we have an opportunity this evening to recognize one of our organizations that is housed within this municipality, has made a significant impact on what happens in this municipality from day to day, and has a long-running history of being here when people need them and contribute to their needs and whatnot, and have now expanded their reach even internationally of people that they service. So we have the great opportunity to award the Spirit of America Award to the Massabesic Lions Club this evening, and we'd like to first, we have a letter from the Alfred Board of Selectmen, and John has graciously offered to read that.
Dear members and volunteers, this is written to the Massabesic Lions Club. Dear members and volunteers, the Board of Selectmen of Alfred would like to congratulate the members and volunteers of the Massabesic Lions Club for their achievement of being honored and receiving the Spirit of America Award. It is nice to see that all of your hard work is being recognized. We appreciate all that you do for our surrounding communities. Unfortunately, we have a meeting planned for this evening and are unable to attend the award ceremony. Thank you for inviting us to share in your celebration. Sincerely, the Selectman John Sylvester, David Burns, and Glenn Doctorman.
So we appreciate the input from our sister town. And I think it would probably be appropriate to recognize Bob Hatch, who is the current president. And if let me come around here because the cord on the microphone kind of restricts my mobility. We'll take this opportunity as the town to certainly have been asked to present this evening, and do so with a great amount of pride in this organization that we call part of Waterboro.
Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much. And these people should be recognized. They're the ones that do most of the work.
And you have to forgive me, there's a few guests from
Yes,
the
I'd like to
organization.
introduce Vice District Governor in the back, Duke Aranitis, past Vice District Governor, Harvey Buzzell, past District Governor Carolyn Dial, who's a Albert member,
Okay.
and the rest of the crew.
Well, again, we want to thank you, and we understand you had a great day also being recognized today at EcoMaine. And so it's been a great day for
Yes.
you and the organization, and hopefully we're here many, many years from now doing the same thing again. So the guy behind the camera over here is Bruce Flaherty, who I've known for years, back to some old JC days, which is another organization within the state. But he certainly kind of keyed this thing up and helped us organize this tonight. So I want to recognize him just briefly here, and the organization itself, the spirit.
On behalf of
America.
myself, thank you very much for the recognition.
Okay.
And keep the work going.
Okay.
Dennis, I'd like to also mention that this sweatshirt right here that was is made from recycled milk jugs.
No, I don't. He didn't say.
Yeah. Okay, if we're going to take, if everybody will indulge us there at home, and then they're here, we can take just a few minutes, I think, because it's going to be disruptive of the meeting, to say the least. But if we could get, I think, all the pictures taken and whatnot, maybe Dave, you can just mute the sound, and we take maybe a 5 or 10 minute recess here.
Your community. They do things that affect people around the world. One of the things they do is
Sir?
they process.
May I interrupt you just for a moment?
Sure.
We're getting this all recorded. If you'd be so kind to step up to the podium, we'd appreciate it.
Okay.
It'll.
Let me start all over.
It'll make it. You can just turn that. You can just turn that microphone around, and if you want to address the folks in the.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll have a nice shot of you from the camera over here. And,
Okay, well, what I was going to say was not only do they affect the local community, but they affect around the world. A couple of the things that they do that do affect folks around the world is the eyeglass recycling processing that they do. They do thousands, 40,000 a year, I believe, is the number I've heard. They reprocess them, prepare them to go out, and they do go out to countries all over the world, in addition to the United States. Another thing that they're involved in, very much involved in, is what they call a PET project, which is a personal energy transportation. And what it is they build from scratch It's like a big tricycle. And it's for people who have lost the use of their lower extremities. It allows them, with hand power, to get themselves around. It's something that is of great use to people in third world countries who, up until that point, most of them had to drag themselves around with their hands to get from one point to another. So they do affect folks all over the world. They do a great job. They're very deserving of this award, and it was my great honor to recommend them for it. Thank you.
On behalf of the district and District Governor Roger Blackstone, who's unavailable, he's out west at this time, we want to congratulate the Massabesic Lions Club for receiving this award. We all know how much they deserve it. Harvey has mentioned some of the things that they do that affects people around the world, but they do so much more in affecting their local community and the state of Maine, because the district is very, very lucky to have this club. They've offered a lot of leadership to the state of Maine, the district of the state of Maine, and they continue to do many things in the district along with in your community. And for that, we thank you very much. We thank you for doing all the wonderful work that you do.
Thank you. Jack?
This is purely, I didn't realize all this was going on, but while we're honoring you, we need to call attention to the fact that you folks created the first library in Waterboro. Without you, I don't know if we would have the present library, much less be thinking about a new one. So thank you for the initiative and the energy, and I cannot imagine how hard it was to get all those books to the second floor of that building.
Any other comments from the board? Tammy, Gordon?
Oh, I just wanted to go along with all the other sentiments. I know how hard this organization works and all the work that you do, and it's wonderful to see so many of you out here tonight. I know belonging to other nonprofits and whatnot, it's very difficult these days to find volunteers. And so that the fact that you have so many active members that do so many good things is just a testament to what a great organization you have, and this award is very deserving. Congratulations.
I know they have some great bean suppers. My grandmother used to cook some for us. No, I think that any statement I could make would simply echo the statements that have already been made. You folks are absolutely tremendous. You're unsung heroes in the community, and it's good to see that you're recognized for the good you do.
Excellent. John, anything?
No, it was a lot of fun today being at EcoMaine and having our Lion representative receiving the award. It was pretty exciting. Just around southern Maine, the things that are going on and the unique things that our Lions do. So it was a fun morning. Good being with you.
So with all of that, let me, I guess, give you a round of applause from the board. Thank you so much for coming, and we again are thrilled to be able to perform the award ceremony here this evening, and hopefully there were a number of people that were able to see this on TV, and it'll be played for some time. So congratulations, and thank you. You're more than welcome to stay for our agenda, or I will give you a brief minute to vacate the room if you want. So that everybody knows that
What if he gets a 5-cent deposit on his shirt? if it's made,
Yeah,
at least.
This is going to be passed around to the club also.
Oh, there you go.
I work for a week at a go.
It never soils, nor takes on an odor. Okay, let's move on. Hearing a delegation.
I don't think.
Oh,
I just want to know if we wanted the door
oh,
closed.
okay. Any correspondence of, all right. Reports, town administrator's report.
Working on the warrant, I hope to have a pretty good draft done by the 30th, and we have the workshop with the finance committee and department heads. The first part of the insurance bids went out, and last Friday was the market allocation forms, which they went out, and what it is they submit up to 3 insurance companies that they want to get a bid from, but they cannot contact them without, from the town first. What it does is, we will give this insurance company, you will go to this one, and, you know, well, apparently, we've had a little snafu because one of the bidders contacted a carrier, so according to the bid, it was very clear that they would be disqualified, which now leads, I got to get a hold of that company to see what we can do, because basically what it does is when they get contacted, it locks out any other agency to get a price.
So it's
So-
the first one that happens to get that carrier.
So I'm not sure if we may have to throw them out and start the process over, or I have a call into them and I have not heard back from them yet. And I can cover another thing too right now is the training policies. At our department head meeting last week, we went through the policies, and we have a lot of policies that's already in place. The fire department had already had a lot of them, so instead of reinventing the wheel, we're just going to take them and just retrofit them to each, pertaining to each department, so that they are 99.9% the same throughout the whole town for all the departments, so that we don't have one for Parks and Rec that may be different for the transfer station. So department heads took that as their homework, and when we have our next meeting, we'll be going back over them again.
Okay. Anything else, Nancy?
That's
Any
it.
questions? Selectmen's report.
I'd like to say something if I could.
Sure.
Okay,
I didn't know you were there, Cindy, sorry.
what?
I didn't know you were there.
We're going to turn you up, Cindy.
Yeah.
All right. I talked to Nancy today, and she's going to check to see if I can still give my resignation so that you can be electing 3 selectmen in July. And I just wanted to come to me instead of, reading it on paper that this is my resignation, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to be here for this year's budget. And I said at that point, I believe after I got through this year's budget. So if Nancy gives me permission tomorrow, I will formally send in my resignation, and that way there you'll have an election for 3 people. And you heard it here first.
Okay. Oh, we appreciate the open, and I guess we need to sort through that. Although I don't think Nancy gives you permission, I think she will check, right? All right. Okay. Anything else, Cindy?
Thank you. Nope, that's it, thank you.
Anything else? 12-town group did or didn't meet?
No, they did not. Apparently, it's the 3rd Monday of every month, except on the weeks where they have 5, and then it's on the 4th Monday.
Oh. Okay.
There were 3 or 4 people here expecting it to happen.
Yep.
To mention something.
Okay. Good.
This past Thursday, our IT director, Dave Lowe, attended a training session up in Augusta. Part of that training had to do with implementing GIS in the community. He prepared this document. I'll have a copy of it here. What's important, I think, to note besides the training is the fact that he found out that there is considerable monies in the form of grants for municipalities and the county to avail themselves of GIS opportunities, because the government has this as a priority so that they can map all areas of the United States. And, you know, aside from that aspect of it, I think that the potential for use within the community in terms of updated tax maps, the ability of realtors and surveyors to gather that information online instead of coming in here and thumbing through old paper records is going to be a monumental task and a huge step forward for the community if we can get some money on that. I just want to kind of like to let everybody know that we're setting the foundation for that by getting the training and then working on trying to find appropriate funding other than through taxation to get this done.
Actually, I think I've been pretty involved with the GIS here in town. You know, we have obtained the software. We have 5 people internally now that are trained to use it, and I think probably Tina Smith is actually the one that has the best grasp on it, and we have very actively for the past year or so now been exploring several grant opportunities, and a lot of times we're running into places where they say that there's money, and then we get to that point and we find out that there isn't. But it is something that for well over a year now we've been working on, trying to get funding to get the tax maps laid out.
There's a lot of new angles too that they're looking at providing funds for, with the wetlands, even the legal stuff. I mean, they're tying the legal stuff into the maps, population, addresses. I mean, they're really getting pretty deep with the amount of information they want for each. The layers are going to be just endless. So there may be some new opportunities.
We hope.
Still.
He also received training on evacuating a building, too.
We have like 3 fire departments there.
That always goes well, huh?
That was followed by preparing for an IT disaster.
Oh. All right. Anything else from the board? Our committee report tonight is from the Friends of Waterboro Public Library. Jack, I assume you're here to give that report?
I am.
So the microphone is yours.
It's a rather fortuitous coincidence that the Lions are going to be we're here at the same time. I mean, it's interesting to think that 22 years ago, the library started in this town. We keep moving. I want to thank you for the invitation to give a report to you. I'm very aware of the, shall we say, unique situation of the Friends. And on the one hand, we're not a town committee. On the other hand, we're involved in a major project which hopefully will be successful, will have a major impact on the town. So I'm happy to keep you and everybody else who's listening abreast of what we're doing. I'd like to start by talking about some people. We've had a lot of changes since the summer. Our treasurer is Gail Nichols, who lives on Ossipee Hill Road. She comes to us with a fair amount of administrative experience, bookkeeping experience, some fundraising experience, and she's been a real asset to us in terms of getting that whole piece off my desk and doing it very well. Terry Lowe, whom you all know for her years on the planning board, is our secretary, but also is doing all our publicity stuff. She is designing ads, designing the presentation booklet that you probably found in your mailboxes some time ago, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks ago, something like that. We got her a good color printer. She's going to produce, and is producing, any materials that we produce from her kitchen, which between the design and the production will save us a great deal of money and also give us a lot of control over what we put out. So we're very happy to have Terry working with us. Roxy and Victor Wright, not only are they a major donor, having committed themselves to putting a roof on the new library, they are very active and very involved in all the down and dirty, nitty-gritty kinds of things that make a fundraising organization function. Debbie Downs, whom I'm sure you all know, who's been in town forever, is doing our grant writing. She's been very active in doing the request for our federal appropriations through Representative Pingree's office. We've asked them for $500,000. We're told we may get half that. If we get that, I'll be quite happy. We sent the same application to Senator Snowe and Senator Collins. We will know sometime in April whether we've made Representative Pingree's cut or not. She will decide whether or not she passes this on to the House Appropriations Committee sometime in April. So, and when I hear, I will let you know. David Wright has joined us. He's a nephew of Victor. He's coordinating the community pig roast, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Nice to have him aboard, and he tells us he brings a huge family with him to do a lot of the work on all of that. Happy for both sides of that score. Joe Wegener, our representative, has been extremely helpful to us. He not only helped us get in touch with Eaton Peabody, our consulting group, but has been very helpful in terms of working with Representative Pingree's office, contact with the two senators. He has access that we don't have. And as an elected official, I suspect his word has a little power to it. At least I certainly hope it does. Beyond that, Bridget is still working with us. Sherry Alcock is still working with us. Bobby Gallant is back from Florida, and she's working with us. And the Honorable John Gale over here pitches in when he's not involved in other committees. And so that's a little bit about the who. And that's, I guess, part of my reason for saying that is there's a lot more than just me functioning on the fringe at this stage of the game, and that is a very good sign. It's a very good piece to the organizational development, which is a major portion of what we're doing at this point. And I suppose you should develop the organization and then do your fundraising, but life doesn't work that way, so we're doing both at the same time. Just a brief word about the federal money. The presentation booklet which we gave you and which we'll be giving to donors and all that kind of thing talks about the Waterboro Public Library and Community Center. The idea of the library as a community center had been in our consciousness for some time, but we never really pulled it all together. Well, we learned that the federal government does not want to fund libraries, but they will fund community centers. I think libraries are community centers. So that really pushed us to pull together these various ideas and to articulate who we are in a way that we haven't before. It was very interesting that Representative Pingree insists that anyone who's asking money from her has to make that a public presentation. So I met with her, some of her Washington staff and some of her local staff to talk about the application the Friends have made for this money. They set up that meeting at the Goodall Library in Sanford. I could not have had a better prop. It was ideal for me because I could talk with them very concretely that, yes, this library is a community center, and I spelled out for them what they were looking at. Because the Goodall Library has a group where you can brush up on your French. They had a program with the Wildlife Center. They had a program with Efficiency Maine. They had several programs for young children. And that doesn't even touch on the diverse ways people were using the computers in the building, the various kinds of reading they were doing, the kind of periodicals they were doing. So it was a very fortuitous way to say to them, look, yes, this is a library. but it's a community center. It's a place where you draw people across generations, across different kinds of interest. You put them in one place and you let things happen. It's a way of grounding people in a community. So you'll hear more about library as community centers as we go through the next 6 or 8 months. Moving forward, the other connection that we need to make is the connection between the new library and attracting businesses to Waterboro. I attended one of the meetings of the Economic Development Committee in which Brian Doyle was talking. It was very interesting to me. He was not very far, if I remember correctly, into his presentation, where he says, you know, I can't wait to get this new library built. So, that keeps coming back. The connection between the new library, a full-service library, and attracting business to Waterboro. We need to find ways to flesh that out. It's a piece of a larger picture where the interests of the library and the interest of the town in attracting businesses intersect in some way. So that's another piece that we need to spend some time trying to flesh out for ourselves. The next big thing on our agenda is for many months, but certainly the next few months, we're going to be making a real effort to approach individuals in town, talking with them about what we're doing, and asking if they can make a significant donation to the library, either straight or through pledges or whatever not. And we'll be working on that and see what happens. It'll be a great research project as well as a fundraising project. The other thing is we're having a community pig roast on June 27th. We're going to use the Taylor House property. It'll be from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, and we're working on getting that together. It's really intended as a family fun time. It's very different than a gala. It's not primarily a moneymaker, though we obviously hope that we'll make some money in the process. But it's really a time to call attention to the new library, just as you begin the summer, as people come to be here during the summer who aren't here all year long, and to begin the political process of saying, we want you to vote yes, and getting information to people and hoping people have a good time. And so that's on the 27th of June. That's rain or shine. We'll do our rain dances to be sure we don't get any for that afternoon. And the final piece is I spoke with Nancy, and she gave me some state material that helped me to put together a timeline for the referendum. If you go from November 2nd, I think it is, you back it up 45 days. When you folks need to sign off on that, then you back that up so the town lawyer has some time with it, the treasurer has some time with it. You back it up beyond that to give us a chance to talk about it and what we're doing and all that kind of stuff. So I suspect you will see me again sometime shortly after the town meeting. And I'll be asking to have a workshop with you, and we'll sit down and start to look at all that. The timeline is not tight, because I'd rather have too much time than too little, because one of the things I've learned over the last 5 or 6 years of doing this, everything takes longer than I want it to take. So we'll give ourselves enough time to do it, and to do it right, and see where we go from there. So that's where we are. Questions, concerns, interests? All right.
Quiet.
All right.
Thanks, Jack. Okay, new business, discuss vote on warrant article for West Road bond. This, I presume, would be would have to be voted on at town meeting. So, I'm not sure who put this together, but I'm willing to listen.
Tom can.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, town administrator. What you have before you, do you have this, it's entitled warrant? Yes. This is proposed language that was arrived at after 2 discussions with Attorney Epstein, one of your team of attorneys that represents the town. And Ron is suggesting this particular language, proposed language, for the board to look at. And what I might suggest to the board is that we kind of walk through it, make sure it says what you need it to say. I think there's 2 goals. There's 3 goals. One, it's required by law to bring back to town meeting, for a town meeting vote, any monies that are reused in any bonds for the town. In this particular infrastructure bond, as a result of due diligence on the site, there were some savings to the community and to that bond. You're left with 2 basic options. One, to bring it back to town meeting and to use the remainder of monies for writing down the bond, or to reinvest those monies and put it back into only infrastructure projects. It's important for the public and the town meeting body and the town as a whole to know that these monies can only go back to that use. And thus, Ron, Attorney Epstein, put together this language for you to look at. There's 2 areas that are highlighted in yellow that I'd like to suggest to the board to possibly reframe the language. On the bottom of the first page, highlighted in yellow, it says sidewalk construction and improvements. I would suggest that the language be replaced with infrastructure improvements, comma, inclusive of sidewalk improvements. What that does is it gives you a little broader horizon. Let's say there's a discovery that there's a drainage issue. That all falls under that umbrella of infrastructure. So that's language that I would suggest. I've not had an opportunity to run that language by Attorney Epstein because he was holidaying in the Caribbean. The other suggestion, highlighted where it says resulting from diligent on, is just a grammatical correction. I would suggest changing that to say resulting from due diligence of on-site project management. And of course, the more you look at it, the more you think of possible things you could change for clarity. I think it's so important at town meeting that the articles are always as clear as possible so that people know exactly what they're voting on. There is language in that first replacement that I suggested where it says within 2 miles of schools in the town. It's likely that this would be within 2 miles of the middle and elementary schools, but not the high schools. So for clarity purposes, there may be some wisdom in putting in middle and elementary schools also. Plus any other language that the board has to suggest. Those are the things that kind of popped out as I looked at it for sort of a second review. Again, the sole purpose for this is it's legally mandated that it go back to the town meeting body for the reuse of these monies. And those are your 2 basic options. Now the selectmen have the opportunity to propose it as shown with 2 options, or to propose it with 1 option.
Yeah, I think we need to get to, I understand that the language has to be, we have to go back to the town meeting and whatnot. I think we have to hang some meat on the bones here, right?
Yes.
What is it that we're, either one or both of these would represent in a total cost? And what would this cover of those?
The total cost will be $82,000 plus. And I'm still waiting from the state treasurer to give me what that plus is. It's a couple $100, but it needs to be accurate in here. It can't just say 82,000, more or less. It needs to be specific. And I'm waiting both on the regional office as well as the state treasurer to give me an accurate number to plug in there. But for the purposes of discussion tonight, it's about 82,000 we have to work with.
But I guess my point is that if we, and I'm not proposing we have a multiple choice article, but we should know that if it goes to safe routes for schools, certainly this isn't the amount of money that would cover everything. It would cover a portion of some bigger number. The engineering of a specific road, whether it's Daring Ridge Road, Roberts Ridge Road, or whatever road in the community, probably is a bigger chunk of change than, it's certainly not 82,000. I'm going to assume it's less than that. However, that being said, where does that, so I'm not sure and I know we're a long ways away from finalizing this, or a ways, I shouldn't say long ways, because I think we're running out of runway for getting the warrant established, but we need to hang something around that so that we provide as much information as possible to the voter. Because if they say, okay, I'm in, I'll vote to move the 82,000 to safe routes to school. Do they know that might be a $250,000 price tag when we add all the phases together? And
The public doesn't, to answer your question, the public doesn't know, the board doesn't know, and I don't know at this point in time, because until we assess, for example, on the safe routes to school application and know the exact linear footage and all the ancillary improvements, we won't have an accurate figure. So we're about 2 steps away from that. And if I can kind of metaphorically compare this to an accordion, we're kind of pulling in and out to gather that information. And what this article does is it's the bellows pulling out to get the permission to use it. On the second page, you'll notice that it states, this article, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll read that one sentence. This article, if approved, would reallocate the described excess, which would be the 82,000 plus, and earnings thereon to pay costs of the Safe Routes to Schools project and the Daring Ridge engineering projects described above. What may be beneficial is, again, another grammatical change here, to pay a portion of the costs. And I think that more than adequately covers you, because it does not pay the cost, it pays a portion of.
I think, as Dennis mentioned, and you may not have the information in time to have it put in the article, but a handout at town meeting, people kind of want to know what they're getting into.
Okay.
By voting on this and say, okay, it's great to have the 82,000, it's great to have a grant coming in, but what's it going to mean to the town in the next year or two?
Okay.
I think you're also going to actively see the road review committee is going to be helping to educate the voters exactly what this article is going to mean.
I mean, you could have a handout at town meeting with that information on it. But
I think they're
people are
going
ask
to
those
gear
questions.
that up before town meeting.
Yeah.
But the key is it has to be something. It has to be some range, some amount. Because either project or both, it's not going to certainly, what we can't come out of this with is people under the impression that, oh, I voted to move the $82,000, where are the safe routes to school? Okay? When in really it's and I'm going to couch this a little bit by saying it's seed money, right, for those projects. Next question is, how much is the project, right?
Exactly.
So I think we need to be as clear and concise with the language as possible to say that, because the real issue is, hey folks, there was a lot of good due diligence up on the West Road project. We had a bond for $200,000. There's some money that we can spend. That being said, it has to go into infrastructure projects, okay? Here are 2 or 3 or whatever that we say that the board is presenting to you that we believe that that money should be directed at. I think the catch-all, which is the last sentence of the last paragraph, if the article is not approved, money just gets rolled back to pay down the debt.
Correct. Correct.
So,
Either way, when town meeting ends, there will be a resolution to the reallocation of the monies. One of the things that we can do, in addition to what was said about the Road Review Committee getting some public information out regarding this, is once we get closer to the cost estimates and know the linear footage and the specifics about the Safe Routes to School application, which has a deadline of, I believe, the end of June. So we will well have that done, hopefully, in the month of May at the latest, at the very latest, subject to the Selectmen's decision on the next item on the agenda, okay? With that, in combination with whatever the Road Review Committee does, I'd be happy to do what's referred to as a poster board, a large poster board that breaks out in bullet points where money's going, how much is going, and to what it's going. And then that way, we could do up 1 or 2 poster boards, one to the front of town meeting, one to the rear, plus any handouts that should add to the clarity, and also assist the moderator in trying to explain the details. And whatever else the selectmen would like. I think clarity is important so that the public knows what they're voting on.
I think the poster board's a good idea, but I think what people are going to be interested in is how much more is it going to cost and where's that money going to come from? Because in these economic times, they certainly don't want their taxes to go up. And if the $82,000 are just going to fund a very, very small portion of that, and they're going to be expected to have their taxes increase at some point in the future to cover the rest of that, I think there's going to be a little hedging going on there.
Well, let's make it perfectly clear tonight that the Safe Routes to Schools program application, whatever is requested, will not, in terms of the actual construction, will not exceed the amount of seed money plus the amount of grant money that's requested. The public really needs to know that there's not going to be, well, we're coming back next town meeting, we're going to ask for another hunk of change. This is only to come out of this, and whatever percentage of the 82,000, let me just, if I may hypothetically say it's 50,000, it's 50,000 matched towards whatever else is being requested from the total line to build that segment of the project, but not to exceed it.
And the town isn't going to be incurring all of the expense to build the sidewalks either. This is just, we're applying for, hopefully going to apply for a grant, so the majority of the funding of that is going to come from the grant money. But what's been explained is that municipalities can put in for this grant with no matching funds. Those are the applications that are going to go to the bottom of the pile. The municipalities that are willing to put some monies up front will have a better chance of getting some of that grant money that's available. Certainly, as the Road Review Committee's talked about it, Tom, I've been part of these discussions. We've all felt that in order to get this project, we want to make sure that there is some seed money so that it gets our application up there to the top.
So that being very plain, that this does not obligate any more money in the particular project. That if that grant is accepted, whatever seed money goes into it is all that the town pays on that. There's no other money going into it from the town.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
yeah, and I don't think it hurts to put that in an explanation in the article to say these monies will be used with other monies, either monies raised by the municipality through taxation or acquired through grants to establish, and that's really becomes the marketing piece of the Road Review Committee, right?
Absolutely true.
You know, there's X amount of infrastructure money there that was in the bond. We'd like to see it moved into an account that addresses this so that we can utilize it for seed money or whatever you want to call it. Right?
Absolutely true. See, the dilemma we're up against is we're in a lot of what-if scenarios. And so, at this point, because we don't have the estimates done for the priority areas, that the selectmen have yet to really look at what those exact priority areas are, we need to at least do this in a draft stage. I think we're 90% there, and with any suggestions like the chairman just made, I can go back, talk with Ron, clean this up a bit, get you a second draft and hopeful final draft. And then I just want to make sure we meet the deadlines of getting this on the warrant. I'm not sure what the drop dead date is for warrant articles.
Does this fall under the money article, it would be, so it would be 45 days prior to, or
60 days.
60? 60?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Let's just
Is it
double check
90?
that.
I think it's 90 and 60. 90, yeah,
60 for
Wow.
money articles.
yes.
Right. So that puts you at April 12th, basically.
Right around the corner.
Well, it will be put on the warrant. On now, it's just that it's just be tweaked.
Yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction. It's a matter of what the language is, but I guess from our perspective, we certainly could move and vote on including an article that addresses the surplus bond money on this year's warrant, right? So we got a placekeeper anyway, right? Does that make sense?
So, I mean, the article's basically written, needs to
Right.
be tweaked a little bit, and we're ready to vote on it.
Right. But I think at a minimum, we can vote that there will be an article that
Yeah.
addresses the
Yes.
bond money.
Well, I would make a motion that we have an article on town warrant that addresses the bond issue with a split between the safe routes for schools and engineering, with the language to be worked on with the town attorney and formalized at a later date.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? That make? Okay. All those in favor? All right, so there's a placekeeper on the warrant.
Beautiful.
Okay.
If I may just suggest one little thing, I always like to leave with something to put under your pillow at night. I'd like you to think about whether or not you, as a board, believe it is necessary to have that schedule. It says the 2009 bonds are payable as follows. I'm not sure if it's helpful or if it's confusing by having that in there. But if you'd like to think about that.
Does the lawyer say it has to be in there?
That's a question I'll have to pose to him. If you were to ask me what I thought of
Because
that.
the preamble to that has to be in there, right? The treasurer has to identify,
Yes.
right?
I just think that it may be difficult to explain percentage economics as well as return on investment on the town meeting floor. That's always a real challenge, particularly when you're talking about return on investment, going the bonding route, going the reinvestment route.
Okay.
It's a board
All right.
decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
90 days is money, 60 is non-money.
Okay. All right,
Can I ask you a question?
certainly can.
I guess...
It might cost you some money, but,
Pardon?
it might cost you, but you can ask the,
I guess I've missed any other public meetings that have been talked about on this. Are we going to get a chance to ask questions on it again, or is this on the sidewalks especially?
I would say that there probably will be opportunity to talk about it. I think we're really in the very infancy stages of, road review has kind of tossed something up to say this is something that they're interested in. They've kind of scoped out what it would look like. Certainly, we haven't really hung any dollars to it, other than we know it's not going to be cheap. And so we've had those discussions with, and it's kind of come under the guise of safe routes to school, because that's what the program has been federally, state-wise, right? For funding, for grant kind of stuff, so that's kind of where it's coming from.
Well, there's no other money to take care of the other 3,000 feet of sidewalk there is in town that's in disarray?
Oh, no, this is all new. This would be, I mean, no, I think the real issue is that if those are, I don't know, Tom, I guess I'd defer to you. If current sidewalks that are used as safe routes to school have deteriorated to a point where they become issues, does that fall into the same umbrella?
Only if they were built with federal monies and safe routes to schools monies.
They were built with state money and federal money, I believe.
They would have to fall under the Safe Routes to Schools program. In order, and it would have had to been part of that program
So
when
if
it was
it was an
built.
old program, I guess, we'd have to go poke at.
Can I ask another question or two, or am
So you
I?
might as well.
Now, at the same time this is presented to the townspeople, I'm in hopes that someone is going to answer that question on whether those sidewalks in South Waterboro are repaired also, and also, what's it going to cost the town for maintenance for all of these sidewalks, including wintertime and summertime maintenance? This is something that's going to be added on to the tax bill in the future. And I know that we veered away from that in the past. When I was road commissioner, we talked about plowing one side of the South Waterboro sidewalks or the other, and it was decided that the amount of money that we thought it would cost was too much. So there's going to be some people that are going to question investing any money in more sidewalks if we're not going to maintain the ones we have and any better than we are now.
You bring up a good point, David. I think certainly the road review committee has, I'm not sure that they've talked about the existing sidewalks to the extent that they've talked about this new program, but it should be all, because you're right, that will come up at town meeting. Why would we go spend money building new sidewalks when we don't take care of the ones, or at least the perception is that we don't take care of the ones that we have now, right?
I'm in favor of it, believe me. I'm in favor of safe sidewalks for these kids up here because the traffic is horrendous on the Old Alfred Road and on the Route 5 part. I agree that it's a good thing, and if we can get some grant money to do that, that's great. But we have to, we've got to go after maintenance, and we're going to have to produce to, I think, the majority of the people in town that we're going to maintain what we already have as well as the new ones.
Yep.
I think when we develop a road repair program, the 5-year program, a 10-year, the sidewalks got to go in it.
It's been on there before, and it was rejected by the selectmen, so
I beg your pardon?
it's been on there before, and it has not been funded.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, David?
That's it that I have now.
Willis?
It doesn't seem to me we should be building sidewalks in Route 5 until that road is rebuilt.
I couldn't agree with you more.
It's great, it's foolish to.
And this isn't on Route 5, though. This is
And I
on the
think
old Alfred
I
Road.
think the road review committee also has that in their radar, because I think the first priority would be Old Alfred Road, not Route 5, right? But I think you're absolutely right. Part of the Route 5 reconstruction, in my view, should include any sidewalks necessary to accommodate.
That's when the time when they should, on 5, that's when the time they should build the sidewalk.
And Route 5 is in the 6-year state capital plan.
We must be down to 5 by now.
Was that the proverbial 29th birthday that every member has?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, hey.
Willis will tell you that he was promised that when he was a state senator, so it's been a long time. But that was just a few years ago. When Willis was...
Willis isn't that old.
Willis is
You're
not...
biting your tongue, Tom. I can just see it over there.
Okay.
Just a few years.
Anything else on that issue? Okay, next item, discuss cable committee's questions. I think in your packets, there's been a request by the cable committee, and understand that the cable committee is multiple towns because it's everybody that's serviced today by Time Warner or that has franchises with Time Warner in the what we call it, it's the Saco River Cable TV Group, right? So they have some specific questions identified to what is being proposed as the new or revised franchise agreement, right? Which each municipality, not the committee, but each municipality will have to enter into with Time Warner Cable. And let me see if I can decipher through this thing, but, and I think Pam, you just pulled out those articles, right? So the committee recommends that the franchise, item 7, governing law, the franchise agreement shall be governed by and subject to federal law or all the applicable FCC rules, da-da-da-da-da. Why is the committee recommending no more than 10 years? They're saying that recommends no more than 10 years. Item 6. Oh, I'm sorry. Page 7, the term. You can kind of, I was a little thrown off by the yellow on the governing law. So the term, there's a blank for the term of the franchise length. So the cable committee is recommending 10 years. I'm not sure that anybody has any, you have an opinion above or beyond the 10 years?
No.
Page 15, item 13, which is the performance bond. Company shall obtain and maintain during any construction project any amount of exceeding what? The amount of performance bond to be negotiated. Is that what they want to change the language to? Instead of plugging a number?
I think they're looking for a number from us.
Do they have a recommendation?
No.
No. And that's, I was kind of hoping that we were going to have somebody from the committee here tonight, because there's questions here that I have, and I would like some recommendations from that committee and to have them talk with us about this.
Yeah, it'd be nice if Dick Bateman had a come.
That's why we provided that.
Yeah.
There's not-
I mean, it's hard for us to just sit here and plug in numbers. They'd have no meaning to them.
Yeah, I think, with regard to the term, they're recommending 10 years. With regard to the performance bond, they're not providing a number. When they talk about the franchise fee, which is the next piece, they're saying 5% of the gross annual revenues, which is the level in the present contract and is the maximum allowed by law. I mean, I'm for that, because that's money, right?
Yep.
Recommend the current level of 4 channels that are for, I guess, the 2 educational channels,
And the 2 government channels.
and the 2 government
And
channels.
the way Dick explained it to me, the committee is definitely opposed to that, because what they're talking about doing is moving them to higher channels, which are going to require a box in order to receive them. So not everybody will get them unless they pay for them.
No,
So-
They don't
no.
want to see that happen.
No, I
So
think,
there, I would agree with that.
yeah, that's the only way we have communicated with most
Exactly.
people is they
Exactly,
would turn on the TV.
yeah. Well, I think Time Warner is in hopes of using those 4 channels for other things that they can make money on.
Well, the committee is recommending that we keep the current level of 4. Time Warner is recommending combining the 2 educational channels, 7 and 16, which is Bon Eagle, Massabesic. And if this is done, the town should receive some compensation. I'm not sure why they would combine the 2. Are they not used? Also, cable company,
Not very often.
Massabesic.
the cable company has discussed moving these channels to higher channel numbers, which would require special equipment. That's a no, right? I guess I would go, somebody ought to poke at Massabesic and Pawnee Eagle saying, you guys have public access to cable TV to broadcast. Are you guys okay with sharing a channel? I don't know if Tony is the chairman of this committee, right? Tony Biggie? So I would... Town will provide a list of equipment needed to upgrade to adequately support the operation of the PEG channels. That's public education. What's the PEG, David?
That's the public broadcast.
Okay.
I've provided the
He's
list,
done
and
Okay.
that's up there.
Did it
So
go to Tony?
they've got the list.
That's the list of equipment we gave to.
The extension policy, I presume the committee recommends 10 homes per mile instead of the 20 homes per mile. That is a negotiation term.
And they have requested a map for the town of Waterboro, which should be here any day now, which will show exactly where the lines currently are, which we don't know.
David, some feedback.
Other than that, the penalty to be negotiated, is the committee going to negotiate the committee?
But they have, I got an email from Dick this morning, they have another meeting on the 25th. And I guess basically he's looking, if you have any changes, any recommendations, just to get them to him by that.
So if they're going to meet on the 25th, why don't we ask Dick to come in next week, which is the 23rd, and we can at least go over, to give us another few days with this to make some recommendations, or give them our opinion anyway.
Do you want me to see about Tony too?
Pardon?
Do you want me to see about Tony?
That would be great, because Tony, I think, knows this inside and out, so if they could be here next week. that
He
would-
hasn't been here for a while.
No, that's right.
No, he hasn't.
Probably since when we were over in the other building. I don't know if he's
No,
been
he's
since.
been here.
Just kind of... All right. Is everybody okay with that?
That
Just
sounds
bring it
very
back?
good.
Because it's on the agenda, do we need a motion on that, or?
No.
No, okay.
We'll just bring it back next week.
All right.
Okay, old business, safe routes to school update. Everybody's pointing, no, you talk, you talk, no, you talk, right?
We need.
That.
Thought they were having equal time here tonight.
Equals a relative term. Mr. Chairman, if I may diverge just for 30 seconds, please.
Okay.
Oh,
Willis,
I hesitate to say that. Go ahead.
well, this is a tribute to Willis.
Okay.
Willis, this afternoon I was talking with one of your political admirers, Bonnie Titcomb.
Oh, God.
And she said she'd like you to hook up with her, and she'd like to take you out for lunch. She says she owes you a favor. I didn't say what, but she owes you.
She's in the legislature with me.
Yes. The other persuasion, I hear.
What's that?
The other persuasion. So I just thought I'd pass it on.
She was on the other side of the aisle.
Yes. Okay. See that? Did it in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. The Road Review Committee has met several times. They've done their due diligence in the field, done their research. They gave me a series of tasks, particularly Chairman Tufts there, to go out and recommunicate with the state DOT, more specifically, and what you have before you, which is an earlier email that I sent to you, to see if we could get Dan Stewart, who is the overseer of the Safe Routes to Schools program, and one of our state or regional engineers to come down to take another look at what the Road Review Committee is proposing for priority areas. Mr. Stewart's extremely busy because the word's out about this particular program, and these are the only 3 dates that he had that are highlighted in yellow left to come visit anyone in southern Maine. I've spoken with Mr. Stewart's secretary, and she said that he will try his best to make one of these 3 dates. The regional engineer has these 3 dates. What does this all mean? There'll be another walkthrough based on the priorities that the Road Review Committee has, hopefully on one of those 3 dates. The other thing that was discussed at the Road Review Committee, and Roger and John, please jump in if I don't represent exactly what you all said. Remember Cool Hand Luke?
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
If he starts eating hard-boiled eggs, we're in trouble.
What we have here is 2 things. One, the DOT will be back in town. Our relationship with them is growing stronger and stronger each time they visit. Secondly, the need, if this application is to go forward, the Road Review Committee took a vote, and I believe it was a 100% supporting having a resident engineer hired on a per diem basis not to exceed 1 day. So I stand before you carrying that message that in order to proceed with this application after we've gotten feedback from the DOT, that it really is necessary to have an on-site engineer to do several things. Part of it would be cost estimating, secondly, a walkthrough, and then thirdly, having drawings that have a registered PE stamp on the submittal to the state of Maine application. And the purpose for that is realizing that the competition is statewide. Some of our municipalities that we compete against have in-house civil engineering staffs, and it makes it more challenging for us. How we continue to compete is we submit applications as good or better than our surrounding municipalities. So we know the context of what has to be submitted. The missing link, if you will, is the need for some engineering services. Now the next question might be, is that achievable in 1 day? It's challenging. And what we would try to do is achieve as much as we can in 1 day's work from a civil engineer. At our last meeting we talked about, I believe it was John or someone on the board asked, well, how much might this cost? After doing a sampling of what per hour costs are and per diem costs for registered certified civil engineers, what I said last time was not to exceed $1,000, and that would be the figure, and that would be certainly on the lower end of what the per hour rates are. Per hour rates for PEs fluctuate anywhere from $75 to $225 per hour. My intent would be, if it gets the support of the Board of Selectmen, to work with the Road Review Committee and get a full day's work out of a professional engineer.
Are we biting off a little more than we can chew to have him try to do all the cost estimating and the drawings in 1 day?
Well, the drawings would be only typicals, typical cross-sections. So when you have a typical cross-section of a sidewalk, and given most of the priority areas are relatively flat, the most important thing is really the subsurface. Everything on the top has to meet federal and state guidelines and specifications. So basically, it would be a typical drawing, a cross-section drawing, if you will, using engineer talk, to submit with the application with a seal on it. The cost estimating would only be on the top either 2 or 3 priorities, but not on the top 5 priorities, because it would be impossible to cost estimate all that out in that short period of time. Short answer, it's a challenge. Typically, a project like this would take 2 or 3 days. It's just, given these economic times, I think that I could only suggest that to you and be fiscally responsible and say that, we could do what we could do in one day and submit what we have from what we can capture from one day. Otherwise, it's a much more expensive engineering tab.
I think you get in touch with a person that you're thinking on hiring and ask him what you can do in advance to have it prepared, so he's not doing anything that someone else can do. And the questions are clear, and the what you want out of them is very clear, and all the stuff that he needs in advance in order to get that done is done for him. So he's not spending $225 an hour doing something that someone can do beforehand.
John, you're absolutely right. That's our MO. We need to have everything done that we possibly can have done. I've already talked with the Scarborough office to see what they have, to look at what some of the cost estimating was on some of our surrounding municipalities for using 2 different types of services. So we'll do all our homework. We also hopefully have the benefit of some advice, free advice, from the regional engineer that would be escorted by Dan Stewart on his next visit on one of these 3 dates. Take all that information, put it together, scope out a day's services, and have the consulting engineer sign the scope of services. And if it takes them more than a day to do what's in the scope as agreed upon, then it takes them a couple extra hours. But the town's responsibility would be at that fixed price. At least that's what I'm recommending to you.
I don't want us to submit an application that is less than ideal if we're competing with other municipalities that have a staff of engineers on board, to try to, cram 10 pounds of work in a 5-pound bag. I think it ought to be done. If we're going to do it and appropriate the money, we ought to do it right. So, I don't know, 1 day seems to me like we're not going to really be putting forth our best application if we're trying to, get this guy to cut corners or whatever. I understand and I agree with John that there are things that probably can be done by other parties in his office that doesn't rate the highest salary thing, but I think when the whole thing is said and done, we ought to have a package that's, really acceptable for the state level instead of something that we just kind of threw together because we had to have it.
Here's my suggestion, right? And one person's opinion. I think you have, certainly in the next 2 weeks, a couple of dates that you're going to get together, or a date that you're going to get together with the state director, I guess he is, right? He's the program manager for bicycle and pedestrian lanes, right? Mm-hmm. And a regional engineer, road review committee. That, I would presume, is going to result in some data, right? It's going to be, this is what we see, this is what we... Are you proposing that we have one of Sebago Techniques guys with us, or somebody, doesn't have to be Sebago, or is that something that gets followed up after this next wave of investigation? Or
It gets followed up on this next wave of walkthrough with a state engineer. I think what we need to be very mindful of, and the Road Review Committee has asked me and suggested that, well, we're going to get a lot of free engineering services from the DOT. I need to say publicly, you're not. You're not going to get a lot. You're going to get some cursory walkthrough saying drainage issue here, you need a culvert there, but you're not going to have, sizing, engineering details. You're not going to have a written report. What you're going to have is a walkthrough, because the reason for that is that the state DOT can't have their engineering staff designing applications for municipalities. If they do it for us, then they have to do it for everyone else.
Let me
It's
interrupt you
just an
because
oral
it's
walkthrough.
not what I was proposing. I guess what I'm saying is that it's another meeting with the state, both from an engineering perspective and a program perspective, and the Road Review Committee and yourself, so that we have additional information that we have. Then I think, to Gordon's point, do we need a local engineer to spend a couple of days on this project? Or is it, do we go on the premise that we can do it in a day? And, I'd rather say, let's look at how we're going to fund this thing and get it done. It's certainly not going to be engineer drawings or anything else. I think conceptually speaking is as much we're going to do, but let's know what that number is. And if we got to err on the side of we need a guy for a couple of days, then we err on the side for a couple of days. But, and I'm not sure, maybe this next wave of meetings with the state is not going to get you any closer to understanding that than you are today. If that's the case, then ask for a number of what you're looking for, and we'll move on.
The first thing that we were charged with was to apply for the grant.
Yep.
Okay? We said, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Well, how much money? Well, we don't know. And where would you put it? Which side of the street? These were just throwing out questions. We just picked a route for just to put it on paper to begin with. But you can't do that on the application. You got to know, we want 100,000 of the 300 or 400,000, or do we want 200,000 of it? And what are we going to do with it? We can't just say, we had no intention of asking the community for any money. We wanted to apply for a grant.
But John, and I'm not trying to, I think you're preaching to the choir. I think we're all on the same page
No, you're
here,
not.
okay? But the fact of the matter is that in order to go for a grant, all right, there will have to be some money spent, okay?
Yes.
Even if it is a rudimentary engineering work, right, that is done where we have Charlie Brown or whatever come down and spend a day and whatnot. I think that what I'm trying to get to is how much is that? So the board here can determine, do we need to scrub the system and look for $1,000 or $1,500 to help in
Find
our
out that
efforts to put this thing together?
And I think the answer was yes. That's why we needed somebody with some talent in building roads and sidewalks and developments, whatever, to tell us that you can't do this for 200,000. You can do one section for 75,000. Well, 75 is not enough, so we'll do two sections.
John, I think I can answer the chairman's question,
Okay.
so we can move this along, if that's acceptable to you.
But I don't want to go back to the meeting and say, we got to do this all over again.
No, I'm not thinking, I don't think that anybody's asking you to do it over again. I think what I'm trying to pull out of Tom here is, what is it that the Road Review Committee and the town planner and their efforts to try to put this grant together need for local funding?
What I'd like to suggest, so that we can also honor Gordon's wise opinion, is first explain to you that there's two ways of doing cost estimating. You can take what the dimensionality of that sidewalk is, surface and subsurface, and you can apply the current formula on a per square foot basis and add in the labor costs and come up with that information on a typical for, in my opinion, for $1,000 or less. Conversely, the other way, if you want to take it to the extreme, is that the entire project area that's being submitted is submitted with a survey drawing that shows the complete sections, every section for every linear foot on a survey drawing. And I can tell you now that, you're talking $5,000, in excess of $5,000 to do that. So you would say, well, is there a place in the middle? No, there isn't. It's really, you do a surveyed set of drawings with elevations, or you do a schematic, a diagrammatic, you do a cross-section, you apply the current formulas, and you work with a consultant that has done recently sidewalk programs and has worked with the DOT. That's what we're looking for. So let me just kind of sum this up. Can it be achieved for $1,000 for what we need to do? I believe it can, because the only other option gets into multi-thousands of dollars. The only other saving grace is if the selectmen find a source of funding for, let's say, not to exceed $2,000 or $3,000, but if we can do it for $1,000, then those monies aren't spent. I think we need to make a decision fairly soon, however, because I'm not going to be able to get somebody on board to do this type of work. I've started conversations to see if people are interested, and they are interested in helping the town.
How much money does the road review committee have?
$100.
$100? Well, that's, okay, we only got to find 900 more.
And that $100 they want to use for advertising for the town meeting. But
Well, let us look for where we might be able to look at $1,000 to support this effort, okay? I think that until we at least identify that, there's not going to be an opportunity for us to vote up or down to say, go do it, and let's go get it done. I think you're still doing the preliminary work. You're going to meet again with the state. Let us work the other side of it.
And I think it's important to note that they're not looking for the final engineered drawings for this project. This is just the piece that has to go with the application to justify the project.
Yep.
And I think maybe there's a little bit of lost sight of how extensive this has to be. This is just the initial piece to go with the grant application. If we get awarded the grant, then the complete engineering for the project would be done, and a portion of that would be out of that grant monies.
Just want the minimum ante to get us into the game. Don't need the...
The answer to that question, the minimum ante is $1,000.
Could I get the chair to recognize Mr. Benton? You couldn't see him because of Mr. Ursher.
He's got a right hand he could have stuck out there.
And,
David, you had something, a comment, a question?
I don't want to show my age, but I've been building projects like this for 30 years, and $1,000 is not even going to get you, it's not going to get you to first base on this project. Number one, you're going to have to coordinate it totally with the state of Maine, because if they have any kind of drawings on the old Alfred Road, those drawings will include drainage, number one, and where property lines are, number two. Well, that'll be first, and then the drainage. And all of this needs to be coordinated with where those sidewalks are going to be located. Because if we spend money, bond money or our own money, to put a sidewalk down the old Alfred Road, in 5 or 6 years from now, they come in to put drainage in, they're going to tear those sidewalks out, because they have to be a working unit. The sidewalks have to work in conjunction with where the drain is and where the road is going to be placed. If I remember correctly, there used to be a garage where Henry Milne lived that the was right on the edge of the pavement almost. So you don't know where that road is going to be when it's completed or when it's rebuilt. So if you're going to spend any money for an engineer, I feel that you should pay that engineer to visit the engineering of the state of Maine and see what they have in mind and try to coordinate that part of it, and then come back and let us know what he feels we should do with the sidewalk.
Well, I don't think we're trying to engineer the sidewalk. I think what we're trying to do is to get a bid package or a grant package to the point where we at least have some preliminary input with engineered data that goes in the package, right?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying he should have it drawn, X is going to be the sidewalk, period. But it would help us in aligning, that would tell you if they have a plan of some kind, if the state, and I can only guess that they have because they've talked about rebuilding that forever. And the drainage has always been a problem. So, you know, is it going to be curbing? Is the sidewalk going to be an elevated sidewalk above the curbing? There's just 100 questions that you know, if you spend some money to have...
Part of that comes out of this walk by the state engineer, right? But part of it will come out of, you know, what's going to be developed.
The final design.
Right.
Yeah.
But the final design, this is a way away from final design.
Yeah, we
This
just
is
wanna know
conceptual.
while going after
Right,
the bond.
right.
I mean, the grant. And we don't have the talent to come up with the answers on...
But you bring up a good point. If the state has engineered documents on Old Alfred Road, may or may not have, but if they do, then it's something that we ought to be, looking at, so.
I agree to have someone come in, but I honestly don't think that $1,000 is going to do much for you, but...
Well, certainly Charlie or whomever we engage is going to have a pretty good idea of where we are, right?
That would be my recommendation, my choice would be them, yeah, Charlie?
Willie?
Couldn't you get some help from York County Regional Planning Commission?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who they have on staff over there now, or has that been watered down? I mean, does York County Regional Planning Commission even kind of, I mean, I know we get occasional newsletters from them, but what is, I mean, are they just a minimal operation now, Tom, or what are they?
You have a transportation person. I don't know if he has any expertise in it.
Count your word.
You asked a very loaded question there, Mr. Chairman. The Regional Planning Commission is comprised primarily of semi-retired municipal planners. And I don't believe there's any...
And you hope to be there one day? No.
Pardon me?
And you hope to be one of them, semi-retired?
No, I kind of like it here in the town of Waterboro. So, but I don't believe they have a staff engineer. John is correct. They have one, and they're planning to hire a second transportation. They call them transportation planners, but some of them may have engineering degrees. I'll check with Tom and see if he is a PE and if he can contribute to this. Also, I'll see if Tom has hired his new assistant transportation planner. And sometimes folks that are in transportation are indeed engineers, so we'll see if we can get something and respond to that. And then secondly, with the DOT, and Dave's point is well taken, I'll make a phone call to the regional engineer tomorrow and see what we have for documents on the Old Alfred Road, given that's where the priority sidewalks are being shown. So that's just a phone call away, and we'll find out what documents they have. If they have documents, if they're in electronic files, we'll have them sent over here, and if not, we'll try to secure hard copies so that we have them for future use.
Good.
I think an unintentional byproduct of this is that maybe by provoking all this debate on it, that we may have muddied the waters. I think everybody's in agreement that a preliminary engineering study should be done. My only question was, can it be done in one day, or should the board look at maybe trying to find funding for up to 2 days so that we get a good product And if, as Mr. Benton said, maybe one day would be at the state level and one day would be at the local. I don't know. That's just the answer I'm trying to find out.
The answer lies in however you design a scope of services. It's as complicated or as simple. Tammy Jo brings up a good point.